Corey, we're back, and now it's time for the real deal. Let's get it. Welcome into another episode of McKale Madness, the world's best Arizona basketball only podcast. That's my guy, Corey Williams. I'm Saul Bookman. Appreciate you all for joining us on a Thursday evening before really the last, if you want to call it, test for Arizona coming up Saturday against San Diego State, and we'll get into that in a second. But Corey, how are things with you?
I'm an alum of the current number one team in the country. I'm in the DMs of all my media buddies at the SEC that was talking that trash about how that was the deepest, best conference in the country. I had hors d'oeuvres last night with Tommy Lloyd and Steve Kerr at the Arizona Inn with a room full of Arizona supporters. Life for me is good. So I'm feeling real good right now.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. You know, I mean, your boy was just chilling in Tucson. You know, I can't get an invite for some hors d'oeuvres, man. I mean,
Bro,
like what?
Hey, real talk. They invited me at the last second. I got the text on Monday for a Wednesday night event. I knew I was an afterthought, but I showed up. You know, shook some hands, took some pictures. But it was nice that they keep the old heads in the mix. You know, you would think sometimes, as busy as they are, to get an invitation. I was there. Reggie was there. Matt Muehlbach was there. It was a nice little event. But predominantly, it was the Steve Kerr show. We were just, side items. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was Beyonce. We was Kelly Rowland and the rest of them. So
yeah, I feel you. Yeah, listen, sometimes you just, you got to be the pips. You got to be.
And you know what, Saul? I would have shot you the invite, but I got the vibe that room, that ballroom was probably a 50 to 100K buy-in, and I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on you, bro.
Hey, listen, if
you ain't got none, the big dealers was in there last night.
If you ain't got none, won't be none. So we're good. Like, where's your $50,000 check? I'd have been like, oh yeah, you know what? I left it in the car. Can I hit you up afterwards?
Hey, one of the best lines ever in a movie, Gone with the Wind. Asking ain't getting. That's it. One of my favorite. I use that to this day. Asking ain't getting. You can ask. Yeah, but there was some heavy hitters in there.
Yeah, I mean the SEC asked for Arizona and they ain't getting no wins. So
no. Sometimes you gotta watch what you gotta watch what you say.
Yeah, for sure.
Another saying I like to tell people is you got to bring ass to get ass. Y'all ain't have enough bricks in your back pocket to be dealing with Toby Awaka and Crevis and Koa Pete and all of that. You wanted it, and when it showed up, you was a little light in the ass. So it is what it is.
It is what it is, man. Like, hey, listen, I trust me. I have had my fair share of playing against dudes that just there's no chance.
It's a problem.
And, they're a problem. And listen, Arizona has made it a problem for everybody else that they have faced this year, and it will continue to be so. Listen, I want to make sure that we have a logical, thorough approach, and more than anything, as much as we are Arizona alums, a fair approach towards this team, because I do think that there are still some weaknesses to a certain degree. They're not drastic. They're not worrisome, but I could see how on an off night it could be a problem to a certain extent. One of those, for instance, problem with the press in inbound situations. There's been some times late in games where they have struggled to try and break a press and turn the ball over and found themselves in a little bit of a pickle. But they've been able to get through it and win those games. So I'm not saying that, they're bad at it, but I could see a situation where maybe you're on the road against Houston and it's a 2-point game and they're trying to get back into it or whatever, and there's 30 seconds left, and and it becomes a problem. So it's situational issues as opposed to glaring issues that are overbearing. So when you look at this team, what kind of issues do you think, like, okay, I've in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want that cleaned up just a little bit more.
It's funny because I was racking my brain to come up with this a couple of days ago, and you touched on the only thing that I think bears true for this Arizona team. Jaden Bradley is a very tall, larger size point guard. He's not a traditional little small, lightning quick point guard. I think when you watch him play, he has a handle, and I don't mean any disrespect, but I don't think anybody would say he got that thing on a string, like a Jason Terry or a Bibby or a Jason Gardner or a Damon Stoudemire, or even a Lyons for that point, Mark Lyons, to give you a name from the Sean Miller era. He gets it done, but he's by no means Kyrie Irving with the rock out front. And I think if Arizona had one weakness, and I wouldn't even call it an Achilles heel, they don't necessarily have a true straight out ball handler other than Jaden Bradley. And he's not the best ball handler. Now, he doesn't get ripped, but I saw, toward the final stages of the game last night, he tried to split the double team, lost the ball. If he gives it up, you're right, things can get a bit chaotic. But here's the bright side. You got to get Arizona to the point where that matters. You got to hang around for 38, 39 minutes and then hope that they play sloppy. So there's 39 minutes of brutal basketball in front of the fact that we may have problems with the press in clutch moments. Will the good teams be able to take us to that point? Some will, some won't. But to sit here and call that a weakness, you can't build a game plan around the fact that Arizona has one point guard who's not a true point guard. You can't build a game plan. Everybody makes a big deal about the amount of threes Arizona shoots. If we're getting layups and dunks, do we even care about threes?
Nope.
You saw what happened when Alabama was chucking them up. At home, they were chucking them up. And we're getting twos, you're getting threes. You got to shoot threes at like 45% for it to even be a factor in a game. If you're shooting less than 45%, two-pointers are always going to mathematically win out. So people don't understand, like, this team, when you talk about weaknesses, there's nothing you can scheme when you're getting ready to play Arizona. Okay, we're gonna stay at home when the ball goes inside. Okay, good luck with that. We're gonna double team Jaden Bradley on ball screens. Good luck with that. We're going to play Koa Pete one-on-one, or we're gonna double team Koa Pete, or we're gonna help off a Deli, or we're gonna face guard Deli. Like, what are you gonna do? Arizona's had multiple leading scorers in all of these games against top 25 talent. So from a game plan perspective, I don't see strategical weaknesses, but if I had to throw something up on the dartboard, it'd be exactly what you just said. Lack of a pure ball handler. And Saul, I don't know that matters.
I don't know if that matters too much. I would say, listen, this is what I know to be true. When they played Auburn, I saw, conversely, to the other side of this, they tested out a full court press. They put Toby Awaka at the top, and they appropriately got burned because when you have Toby at the top and Krivas in the back, and that's a recipe for, like, listen, they get past one or two guys, that's a wrap. They're going to score. And sure enough, Keyshawn Hall hit a corner three, and I never saw that press again. Now, fast forward to the other night, when they were playing, who did they play? Why am I blinking right now? ACU.
Abilene Christian.
Abilene Christian.
Christian School for Wayward Girls.
When they were playing Abilene Christian, and they implemented the press. This time, Koa was at the point, was at the top, which makes way more sense because he's a little more athletic, more agile, then Toby Awaka can get in the lanes. And I thought that was a little bit better. And even though ACU handled it pretty well at first, it started to slow them down at the more and more they tried it. And they tried it for the better part of the first 10 minutes of the game after every made free throw, which I like to see. Now, my point being, as much as the press might be a weakness for them, what I love is they've shored up quite a few things along the season to where now they can tinker and add some more tools to their arsenal just in case they might need it at some point. I don't think when they start Big 12 play, they're going to break out with a press at all. But I do think that occasionally they will use it to their advantage just to throw a team off, make them think of something else in the middle of a game or during the course of maybe even down the stretch if they are the ones on the losing side of the score and trying to get back. So I do like that. From your experience, under Lute, did you see like your teams that went to the Final Four? Were you guys so shored up before you got to conference play that you felt pretty good and stable with all your offensive and defensive sets that Lute was like, okay, we're going to throw a little wrinkle into this now?
Yeah. So the answer to the second question first, no. We were all set when the season started. What Tommy's able to do, and the untrained eye usually can't detect it, is he's playing the game within the game. He's working on things in real time in game situations because it's the most competitive experience he can get. So putting the press on Abilene Christian is like him working on his press during practice, but it's way more competitive. The players for Abilene Christian are better than scout team in practice. And what you're seeing is all these power schools are scheduling what I would call scrimmages in their non-conference. Teams that they know they're going to beat by 30 so that they can work on stuff. Now, it's very slick and tricky, and you picked up on it because you have a trained eye, but they're working on new things in these games. And yes, I did put air quotes around them because they're games. Here's a check. Come into McKale. We're going to beat you up and work on our press. Now, why he has to do that is because with NIL and it's 2025, you can't have 11, 12 sound players and work on your press for 35 minutes in practice because you'll get a false sense of security. Scout team be turning that joker over every 5 seconds and you'll think you have the greatest press in the world. So you have this false sense of security. You really don't know where you are defensively because practice, and this isn't just Arizona, this is across the board in the top 50 teams in the country. Practices are non-competitive. You don't have enough people to work on your press. Now, to your second part, going all the way back to the 90s, bro, we had 13 All-Americans on the team. We literally be like, okay, we're working on a 2-1-2 press, and we work on it for half an hour. Guys headed to the NBA pressing against young guys who want to take their spot and eventually go to the NBA themselves. So we could work on our press. We could work on our zone. We didn't. Sometimes if there was a deficiency, the rest of practice got scrapped. Luke used to have a piece of paper of all the things we were going to work on. And if something wasn't clicking, we're not leaving until we get this right. Because what Tommy has done and what Luke used to do was this. We're going to work on everything. Our non-conference, we're figuring out who we are. But when Pac-10 rolled around, it's like, you ever seen those movies or those shows where the people are on a cruise and they stay too long when it docks and now they're racing down the dock trying to catch the cruise ship? That was Arizona basketball team in the Pac-10 season. If you were on the dock when the ship pulled away from the deck, you could wave and scream and yell, but the ship left the dock. The rotation was set. We knew what we could do, what we couldn't do, and he wasn't reevaluating nothing until the end of the season in the summertime when we got ready for the next year. You could play well and crack into the rotation during mid-season, but like it was really, really hard because practices were so grueling. By the time we ended December, we knew what you could do. We knew who we had. We knew what we had. And there were very few surprises going forward because we'd been hooping since August. So with Tommy, working on his press during a game is genius because he can get real live action against a team that's much better than his second string players. and it's not going to affect the outcome of the game. But now you've got film, and you see Tobe doesn't work at the point of the press. Let's try Koa. I mean, you can, like you said, tinker with some things. So I think that that's impressive. Very slick, Mr. Lloyd. We see you, but very clever, very slick.
Yeah, no, listen, I do like that, and you can't get complacent. And to your point, I don't think it's so much as NIL. I think it's more of just the transfer portal more than anything else, because players don't have to stay in a school anymore. They certainly don't have to sit out a year if they transfer, which was the big thing before. Is like if you transferred, you had to sit out a year before you could play again. And that's just not the case. Now you can transfer at the drop. There's kids that play in 5 different schools in 5 years, and it is what it is, right? And so to your point, yeah, that's the reason why a large percentage of these schools can only go 7, 8 deep, because that's all they can really afford to go, because they're going to lose 9, 10, 11, 12 if they're good enough and want to go play somewhere else. So, and you know, the scheduling to me, and this is honestly, this wasn't going to be a topic, but since you brought it up, I think it is a great topic to talk about. The scheduling, I think style-wise, I think frequency-wise, he's mixed it up so much that Arizona has seen just about the breadth of what they're going to see during the season. The only team out there, in my opinion, obviously, we saw UConn already, and they have size. Granted, one of their players was injured, but you know, they have the size to be able to compete against Arizona. Michigan would probably have the same size if they face Arizona, but those are very few and far between. Everybody else is not going to be able to match up size-wise. But Arizona has played teams like Florida that had big front court, but also had a little bit of versatility. They have sneaky size, right? They're big on paper, but they had, like, Hauk was a very athletic big guy that could play on the wing and down low. They've played other teams that have been solid all the way across. Like UCLA wasn't dominating with size. They had some flexibility. I like the difference and variation of the teams that they've played so far, and the tempo as well. Alabama, fast tempo, 3-point shooting team. Auburn, not so much. They play a little bit more of a slower game because they just don't have the ability to shoot the 3 and run like Alabama. UConn, very much methodical kind of playing style. So I've been very impressed with the scheduling overall. Your assessment along those same lines, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, the Auburn, Alabama back-to-back was about as competitive as you want to be. So you have Alabama, then you play Texas, Abilene Christian, and then you have another game Saturday. So you've got 3 games within 7 days, but one of them's kind of a throwaway scrimmage game. So you keep your team sharp, you keep the rotation, you keep the routine good. Neutral site in Phoenix should be a home game, but you're on the tail end. You're right. They've seen hostile environments. They've seen neutral sites. They've seen teams that jack threes, teams that claim to have big front lines. They've seen it all through these first 11 games. So you go into Big 12 saying, guys, we are hunting, but in all reality, we're the hunted. People are coming for us. Keeping them in that hunter mind state, you have to try to do that. But you also go into Big 12 knowing there's nothing that we're going to see that we haven't seen already. Mm-hmm. These road games, the ones that weren't sold out, they'll be sold out if Arizona's number 1 and coming to town. The local fans are going to come out. Even if it's to see their team get their butt kicked, you're going to be playing in front of packed gyms every night, whether McKale or on the road. As long as that number 1 is in front of Arizona, all these games will be sold out. So you're getting your guys ready for an experience that Arizona hasn't really seen in a while. And, you know, they're not going to go undefeated. When they drop one, who knows? I couldn't certainly tell you when it's going to be. I don't see it happening. I wouldn't bet on it, but we just all know deep down it will happen at some point. Mm-hmm. But they can be comfortable going into Big 12 knowing we've been around the block. We've stepped in the ring with heavyweights, and we know who we are. We came out on top in all 5. But, you know, hey, at least we know what we have right now.
Not to dismiss San Diego State. We're going to get to them in a second.
I'm dismissing San Diego State. They ain't gonna be there, man. I'm doing the game, and I'm getting it out now because when you see me Saturday, I'll be like, "Hi, welcome." ESPN Corey Williams. There's a tough San Diego State team takes on it. Man, come on, bro.
No, I know. Listen, sometimes I listen to you, and I'm like, "Come on."
Hey, gotta get it. Hey, San Diego State fans aren't watching this, but they will be watching Saturday. So I got you. Sure. And here's the thing, and I'll be honest with you, it's funny because we brought this up. I'm always authentic. I never lie. I never say things I don't believe, but it's about how you phrase it. San Diego State's going to have to do a lot of things well to hang with this Arizona team. That's a line I may say on air because it's true. San Diego State can shoot the three. They're going to need to keep pace with Arizona. I mean, there's a way for me to be complimentary and be real. But now on McKale Madness, 40 minutes up and down the court with our team, nah, bro. It ain't gonna go too good.
Just to give everyone kind of a reset. After San Diego State, they have two more scrimmages, if you will.
Bethune-Cookman, I'll be on that one Monday.
On Monday, and then they finish up the non-conference slate with South Dakota State and South Dakota State, who they played in 2017, first-round matchup. I was there for that one in Salt Lake City. Unfortunately. But then speaking of Salt Lake City, see how I did that? They play at Utah in their first for their first conference game of the year. And to Corey's point, Arizona going into Utah as the number one ranked team, it does not matter what Utah's record is at that point. They're going to sell that place out. And it can be a difficult place to play. Listen, Corey, you know this more than anybody. There are certain gyms, arenas, coliseums, whatever you want to call them, where you walk in and the light just feels right. It just like the vibe feels good. You play really well in those gyms. And then there's other gyms where you're like, man, I hate this place. I hate this gym. I hate the feel. I hate the vibe. Why are the fans so close over here? Why is this like all of it, right? And when I've been to the Huntsman Center, I absolutely detest that place. I don't like anything about it. It's like a prison yard. There's concrete everywhere. And the stands it's just really janky. I don't like it at all. Now, I have a little bias because I hate Salt Lake City in the first place. So yeah, and like I'm going in on Utah. By the way, I'm going to BYU in Provo, so God help me when I go.
Get your cougar tail. Calm down. Get you some coffee and a cougar tail.
But Utah, then they come back home against Kansas State. Then they go on the road against TCU. Then they come back home against ASU. Then they go on the road against UCF. Then they come back home against Cincinnati and West Virginia for finally a back-to-back. That's a really odd start to the conference slate, going on the road and back home for 5 straight games to start the season. That's a little odd.
Yeah, I'm looking at TCU and at BYU on the 28th. Those are the games that if I was going to raise an eyebrow, it would be on those 2 games. Those are road games against teams that can play good for 40 minutes. Will they play good for 40 minutes? I know that if Arizona handles business at home, knocks off Utah on the road, and knocks off TCU on the road, that Arizona BYU game,
oh boy,
is going to be fire. It'll be on ESPN 1, and I'm going to put something in Sean Farnham's drink so he gets the sniffles and can't work it. So then they call you a boy, and I'm going to get over there and do my thing. Oh, Sean is sick. Oh, how did he get COVID? Oh, that's terrible. I'm doing anything I can to get over there. Hell, I may get my cell phone and get side and do just broadcast from the sidelines.
Hey,
who knows? But that'll be a great showdown. Arizona at BYU last year was good. It'll be good again this year.
I've heard because you did that game last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I've heard that arena is pretty good. Right?
Marriott Center is bananas. Those kids, the banners, the lights, they have an NBA quality production pregame. It's the best in the country. When BYU has a big home game, they've got these massive 80-foot banners that they drop from the middle of the court.
Like the Lakers do.
They project the play. Oh, it's insane. It's for college to do that. And of course, the student section is legit. And here's the thing, man. All those kids are sober. You got to wrap your head around the fact that nobody in the gym is faded. This is just real natural energy. You're like, damn, y'all on nothing? Y'all like this off water? No caffeine, no liquor. Y'all in here off of juice and water? It's insane, bro. It's loud as hell. They got the big BYU banners going, and it's all natural. You know what I'm saying? No additives, no preservatives.
Hey,
they're bringing it to you like Whole Foods, baby. It's real.
Nothing but juices and berries.
That's on juices and berries, making all this damn noise. You know it's loud when I gotta turn back my volume in my headset because the kids yelling is getting through into my mic. It's crazy.
That's wild.
And I got Santa Clara at Gonzaga on the 8th. Now the kennel is crazy too up in Spokane. Okay. That's another great atmosphere. Yeah. But yeah. Arizona can do some work, and I don't see a whole lot of tests early. We all know how tough that February is going to be, but in January, if they pull up 2 big road wins at TCU and BYU, they might still find themselves with an unblemished record.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I could see a scenario where they can get all the way to that BYU game for sure, and be undefeated. Which I think if BYU holds serve, and I haven't looked at their schedule and who they got to play, but that could be easily a top 5 matchup if BYU can creep up there as the season goes along. But then you look, as you said, once February turns, man alive, woo, boy, hey, you're talking about getting ready for March. Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU again, Houston. You're on the road against Baylor, Kansas again, Iowa State at home, and then you finish up with Colorado. And man, that is a murderer's row of a litmus test right there. So
they have, like you said, on the 9th, they start with Kansas. They at Kansas, they could easily drop that. Texas Tech is capable of winning in Tucson. BYU is capable of winning in Tucson. Houston is definitely sure capable of winning at home. And then Arizona at Baylor is not a guaranteed win either. Then they host Kansas. Then they host Iowa State. Like, you could see a horrible swing where Arizona goes like 2-4 against teams that are in the top 10 or top 25, but that's just the Big 12 this year. So, January's good. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of big games in February.
Yeah, for sure. BYU schedule, by the way, just for, S and giggles, at Kansas State to start, home against ASU, at Utah, which is, obviously that's a rivalry game, at home against TCU. Then they go on the road against Texas Tech. That's going to be the tough one. And then at home against Utah before they play us at Provo. So listen, it's going to be a fun season, man. This is the best conference in the country. I think we proved that in the non-conference. They dominated. Iowa State is kicking ass. BYU's doing their thing. U of A is holding it down. We need some of the ones in the preseason, expectations. Texas Tech has got to step it up a little bit because they're kind of falling behind with the preseason expectations, and it's just gonna be fantastic to see. Let's move along to Saturday. Let's talk a little bit about San Diego State. We won't go on and on about them because I don't really feel like there's a big need to. But San Diego State is still the next contest for Arizona. It is going to be in Phoenix. The last couple times Arizona has played in Phoenix. They lost last year against UCLA, but they won the year before against Alabama. When you look at this San Diego State squad, is there anybody that stands out? They got some unique. Listen, they've played some good teams. They got blown out by Michigan by 40, but then turned around the next night and beat Oregon by 13. They've had some tough games, but I would say this: they're a worthy opponent, but I don't think Arizona should be too worried about them.
No, the kid Bird can play. The guard, BJ Davis, can play as well. They're just very streaky. When you watch them play, they'll get a rebound, kick it up the floor, and knock down a layup or a quick 3 in transition. They'll get an offensive rebound and knock down a 3, and they'll make 2 or 3 possessions back to back where you're like, dang, these guys can go. And then all of a sudden the offense will dry up for like 4 or 5 straight possessions. You're like, what happened? And then they'll come back on with a little 6-0 blitz or whatever. So they're not consistent. And I think basically the main thing that stands out when I look at them is just their lack of size. You know, they've got some tall players, but they're just thin, and they don't really dominate, and they don't play through their bigs. So you're like, okay, how are you going to manufacture all these perimeter shots if you have no threat in the interior? So they don't have the high powered offense to go blow for blow. If they take a run, they're also not lockdown defenders where they can claw that run back. If you put on an 8-0 run, they're not just going to shut you down and fight their way back into the game. They'll trade baskets with you. I don't want to say they're front runners, but they're just very streaky. So it's really just a question of, you know, can Arizona establish dominance in the paint, get a double-digit lead, because they're not the kind of team that's going to lock you down defensively. Arizona will probably score 90 some odd points on Saturday easily.
Yeah, I easily see that. You know, BJ Davis has come on of late. I think he's averaged about 16 a game in his last 5 games, and it's really weird when you look at their stats and you look at their overall production. You know, BJ Davis didn't really do much in the first couple games of the season, and all of a sudden, you know, he starts to build it up. He's averaging, I think, about 16 points a game right now, but he's not even a starter. He comes off the bench. He's played in 9 games, come off the bench, and so it's just really odd. And he only plays 20 minutes a game, which is really, it just kind of baffles me that he's only playing that much and still leading the team in scoring, which is pretty remarkable at 13.3. So overall, again, like you said, it's not necessarily about what San Diego State can bring to the table. As always, you never know who could be on a heater at any given point or any given night. But I think in a case like this, San Diego State would need 2 or 3 guys to be on heaters to even be competitive down the stretch of this game. So I see a big Arizona win. I don't think there's really much more to elaborate on unless there's something else that you want to bring up.
Well, the thing that Arizona's been able to do in a lot of these matchups is draw fouls. Whether it's Jaden Bradley getting downhill or Braden Burries getting downhill or Krishenkov getting to the free throw line.
By the way, to that point, both halves against Abilene Christian, Arizona was in the bonus in the first 7 minutes, which is crazy.
And so you have these games, and I'm just going to say some things probably that I shouldn't say, and I'm not going to mention any referees' names, but I do a lot of games, and hundreds of games. And you have these games where it's not said, but when they come out to the jump ball, you look at both teams and you're like, the refs are going to have to keep these guys in this game for as long as they possibly can. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the situation with San Diego State, but what I'm saying is there's a clear advantage. We're going to let you guys get away with some pushing, grabbing, and holding because you're tremendously outsized. You guys, we're going to have a very, very loose whistle. Like they're going to have to damn near stab you before we call the foul. Because if we call every foul, he'll be on his 3rd string lineup with 8 minutes to go in the first quarter or in the first half. It's an unwritten rule that the whistle in lopsided affairs is what it is, because you're right. Abilene Christian couldn't guard Arizona if they were allowed to play with 6 players. It just wasn't going to happen. And if Arizona can attack and force the whistle for San Diego State and push them into their depth and push them into their bench early, that's how you end up with a 20-point lead at halftime. You get 2 fouls on 3 key guys quickly, and the game is pretty much over. So now you've got, 23 or 19 or 18 points per game sitting on the bench next to coach, while some other guys are out there trying to do their best and defend against Arizona. If you can sit 10 or 11 points per game on the bench right away, it just changes so much in a basketball game. So, yeah, Arizona needs to be aggressive. They need to be physical, and they need to force the refs to call fouls and get those scorers, because they've got a few double-digit scorers on that team. Get those guys sitting down, and now you're out here trying to hang with the number 1 team in the country minus 2 of your top scorers, and that's almost mission impossible.
Real quick, Kev, that last comment that you put up, can you put it back up again? Because, Clint Moses, 509, said, Merry Christmas, Sweet 16, the ceiling. Okay, first of all, What is an Oregon State fan doing here in the chat talking about Sweet 16, the ceiling? Okay, because last time I checked, which is right now, you lost to Sam Houston, you lost to Cal Baptist, you lost to Iona, you lost to UMass, and you're not even in a real conference. Man, get out of here, man. I'm not even trying to hear
Clint,
that.
now here's the thing, Clint. Now, fun fact. I got the 2 games on Saturday. I've got Colorado versus Stanford. Then I've got Arizona, San Diego State, all there in downtown Phoenix. Sunday, I've got the Oregon State Beavers at Arizona State. So I love Wayne Tinkle. I think he's one of the best coaches around. He's a great guy. He's educator, a motivator, just awesome coach. I like the Beavers. The Beavers have some heavy lifting to do on Sunday, and I'll be there at the Desert Financial Arena doing that game on ESPN2, I believe. So Clint, check in with me, hit me on Instagram, hit me on X, wherever you can find me, and let's just focus on Arizona State. Let's not talk crazy about the Arizona Wildcats, because Sweet 16, we will back into the Sweet 16 without. That's not a problem for us. But yeah, don't do that, Clint. Just let's focus on the Sun Devils on Sunday.
Honestly, like, just focus on your team. Okay, focus on your team. Don't worry about what we're.
I love him for watching, though. I love it. Shout out to Clint. I love Corvallis, and I love Wayne Tinkle. And it's a difficult road trip. You got to connect twice to get into Corvallis. You know what I'm saying? You got to catch 2 flights and then drive. But hey.
I mean, I flew direct to Portland and then drove to Gill. So
yeah, you already
it's
know.
a 2-hour drive, though.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Rain.
Hey, shout out to the Nike outlets in Beaverton and Corvallis. I love them.
That's true. That's true. Hey, listen, we do appreciate you watching. I
love the fact that Clint jumped in the comments with the nonsensory.
I'm not gonna say he caught it straight because he asked for it. So
yeah,
he didn't get it straight.
I love it. Hey,
but hey, listen, I will say this: one of those gyms that I do like, as much as like it's not like a popular gym in America, Gill Coliseum. I like that gym. It's historic. It's old. It's got a little. You don't like it?
Best people. I'm saying best people. Super friendly.
Sure.
You can get a damn good breakfast in Corvallis. Wayne Tinkle makes himself available to talk basketball. He's a great, knowledgeable man. Let's not forget, a few years ago, he took them to the Elite Eight. I mean, when it didn't look like they had much. But like you say,
near to the Final Four.
Yeah, Clint, you gotta stay in your lane, though, bro. You talking crazy in the McKale Madness podcast. We can't tolerate that foolishness. Now that as my aunt would say, that tomfoolery. We can't co-sign that.
Well, there's some more foolishness coming our way because Matt Norlander of CBS was talking kind of crazy the other night after Arizona beat Alabama and talked about how he ranked his top 5 teams and he had Michigan number 1, which, listen, if you want to put Michigan number 1, I could see how you could get there. They've been blowing everybody out except for 2 teams this year. They barely beat Wake Forest, and then they beat TCU by like 4. Those are their closest games. Everything else has been 20-plus point blowouts against everybody. Now, have they played the elite of the elite? Not really. Like, they haven't really played much. That's not my beef. My beef is that he said that Duke has a comparable schedule to Arizona, and that's why they should be closer to Arizona than anybody else, to which I'm like, what? Like, look at this schedule, okay? And there's a little nuance here. Arizona has played 2 top 5 teams. Duke hasn't even played 1, okay? Now, Florida was number 3 when we played them. They did play Florida, and they barely won at home, and Florida was ranked number 15. Now, it's not my fault they weren't ranked in the top 5 when you played them. Also, we played them the first game of the season. It's hard to scout. You don't know what to expect. They had 2 new guards. Like, there's a lot of unknowns. Duke was able to prepare and still barely got past Florida at home in Cameron Indoor. Like, stop with that mess. Also, keep that graphic back up there, Kev. They have also, every team that Arizona has played, with the exception of 1, has been in the top 15. Duke has played only 2 teams in the top 15. To sit here and say, with the audacity that Arizona and Duke have comparable schedules is laughable, and just atrocious, man. Just atrocious. Matt Norlander, be better. Just be better.
Come on, Matt. You what are you trying to do? Y'all, CBS got a Duke game coming up that you trying to get numbers up for?
The Duke love is crazy.
I mean, what is going on? Is your nephew go to Duke, or like what is the deal? I mean, because if you want to be taken seriously, or if this is just hot takery for clicks and views, then we got better things to address. But if you seriously think that Duke's body of work is comparable to Arizona's, I gotta Google you and check your resume and your basketball background. Why are you motivated to say this? Now, at everybody's media day, we were all given free takes because nobody had played a game. Everybody was 0-0. You could say whatever you want because it had yet to be determined. But with 11 games of college basketball under everybody's belt, for you to make that statement, it leads me to believe one thing. You don't believe that, but you said it because it got you some run in social media. There's no way anybody credible would say that. There's a bunch of other teams. And as far as the Michigan situation, Michigan's the number one team in the country. I'm sorry. You caught Gonzaga slipping. I believe it was in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And you pounded the Gonzaga Bulldogs when they had an off night. You squeaked by TCU on the road. And then your other signature win is what? You've benefited from better teams losing. You haven't put in the work to be the number one team in the country. You've only beaten one decent team, and that was Gonzaga. So I don't understand how Michigan being number one when Arizona's dealing with teams inside the top 20 in neutral sites. They only played one of them at the crib. All the rest of them were on the road. How do you put Michigan ahead of Arizona? See, people want to tell stories, and then they have the story they want to tell. Then they try to backfill and find the facts to back up whatever take it is they want. And the East Coast didn't even have, what was Arizona preseason? 17, 14, something like that?
Yeah.
Come on, bro. You didn't have us in the party. And you know what happened, Saul? You had this party. You didn't invite Arizona. Now, 11 games in, Arizona done walked into the party, smacked the DJ, put on the music it wanted. Now we leaning up against the wall with a red cup in your party, uninvited. And you all trying to dance on the floor like y'all don't see us. Y'all see us. We're in the middle of your living room with that red cup, leaning up against the wall, talking to your girlfriend. And the East Coast people don't like the fact that Arizona done deboed the party. We have. You wasn't talking about us, and now you have to, and you still don't want to, because let's be real. 60% of the country is asleep when we tip off. And it's been that way since I played at Arizona. So I get it. You guys didn't research us. You didn't write up on us. You didn't give us any preseason props. You did not have us in the story. We like the Wicked Witch in a Disney fairy tale. Y'all didn't have us, and we just kicked our way into the story. And now you have to talk about us. And even still, you don't want to see us. You're looking at who else? Oh, we can talk about Duke. Let's talk about Michigan. We have to sell an East Coast team. Nah, man, just let it be what it is. The best team in the country is 11-0 and has smacked 5 really good teams on the road, 1 game at home. Just cover the sport the way it plays out. But when you have an agenda and you try to back up your agenda with nonsense, people like you and me are going to call them out.
For sure. Listen, last year, you look at Arizona and how they played in the non-conference season, there's no way we would have made an argument for Arizona about anything because they just didn't play well. They lost every significant non-conference game last year. However, this ain't last year. They played Duke last year, and they got handled in the non-conference. And then
they didn't get blown, but they lost, yeah.
Yeah. But like they weren't really – it didn't feel like they were really in the game, especially in the second half. Like it just felt like Duke was in full control. And then in the tournament, it's kind of the same thing. It was kind of glaringly obvious, like, man, Caleb Love's going to have a phenomenal game to really pull this one out. This year, you have the talent to be able to win a national championship. Now, I'm not saying Duke doesn't or UConn doesn't or Michigan doesn't, because they all do. Like they all, like anyone in the top 10 could win the national championship for sure. I will concede that. However, we're talking about right now and what they've done to this point. And when you look at the resume, there's nobody in the country that has a better resume than Arizona. Not even close. Not Duke, not UConn, not Michigan, not anybody. So put some respect on their name before you start talking trash and talking about like, well, like there's a lot of teams, blah, 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 blah. Because this team is still just scratched the surface. You're talking about 3 freshmen right off the bat that start for the number 1 team in the country and are going to continue to get better and better as the season goes along, with another 4th freshman coming off the bench, starting to get his legs. By the way, Dwayne Aristode was sitting there in the gym 2 hours before the game, played the game, and was still putting in work after the game, because as I was on that PHNX Wildcats post-game show, he was putting in work in the background. That's the type of DNA that this team has, because they're not trying to settle for less. They want to win a title. They want to get to the Final Four. They want to give Tucson what they've been craving for the better part of 25 years. Yeah. So I'm a believer. I think that this team has it. Can they fall on their face? Sure they could. Any team in the country can. But do they have the goods to be able to win it all and be the number 1 team in the country? Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you, instead of talking about where you should be, I tell you where you better be. You better be ready to play on Saturday against them damn Red Raiders. That's what you better be ready to do, because they play defense. They're lanky. They block shots. They're going to give you everything you can handle. And if you wake up Sunday morning and you didn't beat the Red Raiders, I don't want to hear nothing. La, 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 la. Because we're going to handle our business in Phoenix, bro. We waking up Sunday morning still undefeated. You can take that to the bank. Yeah. Y'all can't say that. Y'all got some serious business to handle against Texas Tech on Saturday. They're going to give you a much better game than San Diego State's going to give Arizona. So all you politicking for the number 1 spot, eat what's on your plate and then come talk to us, because we've been eating what's been on our plate for the last 2 months. So, 100%. I'm not trying to hear all that.
There's a photo that I gave Kevin before the show started. Literally just before the show started. If Kevin could pull it up, it's a photo of, this is Steve Nash and Shaq at McKale way back in the day, putting in some work on in the McKale Center to get ready for a preseason game that they were going to play that day. I bring this up because good old Adam Silver of the NBA commissioner, brought up the idea that the NBA Cup might move away from Vegas and potentially play in some historic college arenas. And he said Cameron Indoor being one of them. Now, he didn't mention McKale, but McKale is a legendary college basketball venue. And so I sat here and thought, man, first, Duke bias or not, like watching the NBA Cup in an arena like Cameron Indoor would be electric. It would also be just as electric to see them come to Tucson and play in McKale Center for the NBA Cup. I mean, I think Tucson would be on fire for that. They would love that. What do you think about the possibility of, maybe a rotating schedule of college venues that these NBA players listen? I think the NBA players would also love this as well. It mixes it up a little bit, and it kind of takes you back, especially if you played in one of those arenas. Like going back to be able to play on your own home court, that'd be sick.
Okay, Saul, let's take it from the top. You and me are in Las Vegas, right? Mm-hmm. And we're standing there on the strip, and it's a Saturday night, and I say, hey, Saul, the NBA Cup game is in here in Vegas. You want to go there, or you want to go to Caesars and see a show? You want to go to the Cup game, or you want to go see Siegfried and Roy? Do you want to go to the Cup game, or you want to go to Golden Steer? Do you want to go to the Cup game, or do you want to go to the Golden Nugget and play blackjack? Do you want to go to the Cup game, or you want to go to a little cabaret show? Do you want to go to the Cup game? Bruh, they're having problems selling tickets in Vegas, man. Nobody cares. That's the only reason you're considering moving the NBA Cup to a college arena, is because obviously you must be having ticket sale issues in Vegas, because there's so much other stuff to do. The players don't really even care about the Cup, let alone the casual fan. I know what you're thinking. Oh, the NBA, Vegas doesn't have an NBA team, so if we put the Cup there, people will come. Nah, bruh, not really. Now, I don't know if they're giving away tickets or how they're filling up the gym, but the only reason they're floating this idea has to be because they're not selling tickets. I don't know about the ratings, but Vegas Arena is pretty, I mean, you can have it at T-Mobile. There's a lot of places. If you're having problems filling an NBA Cup game in Las Vegas, maybe you need to look at the fact that the product isn't what it's supposed to be. And that's just the reality of it all. So moving into a college campus, it's a smaller arena. McKale's 15,000 seats. And yeah, the Tucson locals will fill it up for a cup game. You'll have some diehard NBA fans come to follow their team in the cup. But if you're a diehard NBA fan and your team advances to the cup, are you buying tickets and airfare and all that to fly to that city to watch them win a mid-season tournament?
Maybe not.
If you already got season tickets to the Bucks or the Spurs or the Knicks or the Lakers, are you flying to support them in that cup game? Probably not.
No, but they don't need to. That's why this is kind of genius, to be honest with you, because one thing about college basketball towns is they love college basketball. Tucson loves basketball, right?
Have you ever been when Tucson's been a regional site for the tournament? Have you ever been to one of those games?
I have not.
Exactly. And neither have I. And I've lived in Tucson for damn near 30 years.
Well, damn, bro. Like, first of
all, I don't care. I don't care who's playing at McKale for round one of the NCAA tournament if it's not Arizona. I don't even go to those games. And they're 20 minutes from my house.
First of all, they haven't had a tournament game since you've been playing. Okay. So that's a conflict of interest.
They had a regional site. They were a regional site. It was a while ago. It's been a while.
Maybe at the late 90s at the latest.
I think there was more recent there, but I may be wrong. Kev will look it up and tell us last time.
Because I remember NAU playing St. John's in McKale, and then down here beating St. John's because St. John's was the number 2 team in a number 2 seed.
Right.
They had Eric Barkley and all those dudes. So and you guys were playing elsewhere. Obviously.
Did you go to the Final Four when it was in Phoenix?
I did.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't.
Arizona before that, I did.
It was 120 miles from my house, and I could have got tickets, and I didn't want to go. If my Cats aren't playing, it is what it is.
Listen, I wanted to go because I've never been to the Final Four. And I had been holding out on the chance that my Wildcats would be there. But listen, man, if it was free and I get a press pass, I'm going to go.
Yeah, well, see that. Okay, now you just said the magic words. It was free 99 for you. You could go for free.
Yeah.
Me, I would have been like, now had Arizona ended up in the Final Four and had been in Phoenix, I'd have taken out a home equity loan to sit in the front row. I don't care. I was going to that. Arizona, the Final Four, Phoenix, right outside I'm going to that. Arizona and LA in the Final Four, I'm going to that. There's only a couple of the cities that I would absolutely go to. Final Fours are expensive, and airfare and hotels. I mean, you're talking about a $2,000 or $3,000 excursion, including a decent ticket, to go see a 40-minute basketball game. I don't got money like that. So it'd have to be close, nearby, and you get to go for free. So it's a little bit different. But my point is, I don't know why they're floating this idea of moving the NBA Cup to a college location. I think college fans may turn out depending on what the teams. I like the idea of an in-season tournament with the Cup. I played in Europe for 12 years, which is where they got this concept from. The Belgian Cup was a big deal. It was almost a bigger deal than league play. Like, there was a prestige about playing this Cup series within this regular season. You play a home and away, and it's plus minus, and you advance, and it gave you because the locals took so much pride in it. Each city, each team, as an American player, you immediately got caught up in it. Like, whoa, Cup game! Yeah, we got a Cup game against so and so, and we need to beat them by like 20 here. So when we go there, we got some cushion. I'm like, they're explaining it to me, and I'm like, this is a game that doesn't count. But it does count. See, it's the Belgian Cup. And I was like, they do this, and they did it in Germany, they do it in France, they do it in Spain, they do it everywhere. And it's exciting and it's fun. And it's the game within the game. And I think it's gaining momentum in the NBA. I just think the fans may be a step or two behind it in terms of interest. That's just my take. I don't know.
It's because, listen, man, I'll just say it like this, man. The problem with the NBA is that they're competitive. Like, fans are competitive because they want to win every game. But when it comes to things like this, they don't see the point. They don't understand it. I'm like, I don't care. Like, that's the thing about this. Man, we're about to go old right now. That's the thing about this generation versus Michael.
Come on.
If you said, hey, we're going to play for this damn little thing right here. Michael's like, I want it. I want it.
The
And I want
3M
everything I can
notepad
do.
award. We playing
Yeah,
for thick
it
pad.
don't matter.
Give it to me.
Like what happened to the competitive spirit? That's the thing. And so that's why I think in Europe it is a little bit different, because that competitive spirit is also very regional. Like there's a lot of country pride and there's a lot of local pride. It doesn't matter. Like we want to beat you. It's much the same as like when LA teams play Phoenix teams. Like there's just a natural hatred there. If it was more regional and that's how this was all positioned, it might be a little different. But because everything's been so watered down, and everybody's just kind of like, oh, we win and we don't, they're still like, huggy after the games. Like, and my guy Eddie Johnson will talk about that on when we used to do our show together. And it's just, I hate it. I hate it. Like if you're gonna step on the court, you got to do everything you can to win. Otherwise, what are we doing this for? Why are we paying money to watch you play if you don't really care?
Right. And I'm going to be as quick as I can with my formula, because I believe this like I believe anything. You had to be good and you had to win to get the money and the fame. That's how it used to be in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, 60s. You had to be very, very good. You had to win. And if you were very, very good and you won a lot, guess what you got? You got money and you got famous, right? And those guys did that. Wash, rinse, repeat for 20 or 30 years. So in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you get Bird, Magic, Jordan. Every year eyeballs on the NBA increased because you had these warriors. The money was low, but the competitive nature was so high because you could only get rich and famous if you dominated. Nobody was giving you a shoe deal if you was trash. Nobody was asking you to be on TV if you weren't good. You had to be good, you had to win, and you got the money and the fame. These guys grew the league so fast, and the money started pouring in. The syndication deals, the TV, the revenue, it skyrocketed. You no longer have to be good or win to become wealthy. And now we have a huge section of the basketball universe that's in it for the money and the fame. They don't really focus on being good and being competitive because you don't have to be good and you don't have to win to get a shoe deal. No disrespect, but Zion Williamson is a household name and has never won anything. LiAngelo Ball has hundreds of millions of dollars and is on the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league. But he's got generational. He made more money than Isaiah Thomas. LaMelo. I'm talking about
LiAngelo's the rapper.
Oh, we ain't gonna get started on him. Yeah, Melo. Saul. I don't even know their names. That's what's so insane. How do you have $200 million and I get your name wrong? Like, there are dudes that are generational wealth that have never been good. They've never dominated. They never mastered their craft. They couldn't hold Kobe sneakers. And they're going to make more money than Dominique Wilkins. They'll make more money than Larry Bird. They'll make more money than Patrick Ewing. They'll make more money than Hakeem Olajuwon. These guys planted the seeds that grew a tree that these young kids get to play in the shade of a tree that they didn't plant. They never watered it. They were just born at the right time. And there's nothing we can do. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. The money is what it is. The fame is what it is. And fans who have a memory that goes back 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, we have a hard time squaring what we're seeing because we saw guys play with blood on the outside of their socks because they done taped up an injury and they just want to go. We've seen guys in the NFL, tape a broken finger and go back out there and keep playing. And guys don't do that anymore. So we have to adjust. But you're right. Watching disinterested athletes, it's hard to keep viewerships engaged when you know the guys are in it for payday, not necessarily for the glory of the team or the competitive nature. And yeah, it's different.
And that's why college basketball, to me, despite the stuff that happens in the offseason, because college athletics is kind of just all jacked up, when you get to the actual season, that's why college basketball, to me, will always be superior to the NBA product in terms of the intensity and the passion and the fandom, as opposed to, listen, better athletes in the NBA by a mile for sure. But like, don't tell that to so-and-so state who just upset a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Like, that ain't the biggest thing that they're ever going to accomplish in their life. Like,
right.
That's the thing about this that is so sweet. So anyway, old man tangent, it's over.
Yes, we're done. We're done. You young whippersnappers.
We appreciate you taking the time to listen not only to the rant, but also to the rest of the show. And as always, make sure you hit that thumbs up, give us a like, and give us a nice little review on your favorite podcast platforms. And make sure if you missed an episode, you can always listen to it on your favorite podcast platforms, whether it be Apple or Spotify or whatever. So
Saul,
we appreciate you. Yeah.
Predictions for Saturday?
I'm gonna say Arizona by 25.
Oh, I'm gonna put a little Arizona by 18. Arizona by 18.
The only reason why I say 25 is because I don't want to hear any noise about, Michigan beat San Diego State by 40, and you guys couldn't even beat them by 20. Like,
well, that is a very low basketball IQ conversation. I hope you don't get caught up in one of those. Be smart enough to avoid those people who
I
apples and oranges.
I don't answer Twitter very much anymore, so I save my sanity for that. But
all right, anyway,
appreciate y'all. Until next time, make sure you follow College Corey at College Corey on Instagram and on Twitter. You can follow Kevin at Kevo Posts. He's also got a pretty hopping TikTok. I don't know if you guys have followed that.
Oh, yeah.
You can
follow Kev on TikTok.
Yeah. He's doing this thing out there. And also follow him at PHNX_Wildcats, because he'll be doing the post-game show. I'll be doing the post-game show along with him, and Corey will be jumping on as well. We're gonna have the whole trifecta because Damon Dog is out of town, so it's gonna be fun. So catch us in the post-game show.
And I got Bethune-Cookman on Monday. Cats by 30.
There you go. So until next time, folks, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Bear down. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.